All right. Hey, everyone. It's Friday, and it is time for another live session of our Heat Press for Profit podcast. Now, thank you so much for taking time to join us live, whether you are on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And I think today's conversation is going to give us a lot of opportunity and insight. Just to really kind of see how a business can transform, what can be really beneficial in your business. There's always going to be hiccups, but what can you learn from it? And today, our guests are JJ and Ashley Markus, and they actually have multiple businesses. This isn't a conversation about just one business, but we are specifically going to be talking about Beknown and Basic Bits. And I'm going to let them give you just a little bit more information about who they are and their businesses before we really kind of dive into their overall just business concept that they've developed. Like I said, there's going to be multiple businesses that we are going to be talking about. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments. That way, Ashley and JJ can answer them while we are live. And of course, if you are streaming this or tuning in on a replay where you can actually see us, still put those questions in the comments. That way we can go back and at least try to get them answered. All right. So Ashley, JJ, thank you guys so much for taking time on your Friday to be on our podcast. Tell everybody just a little bit about yourselves, your business, and really kind of how you got started 6 years ago.
Sure. I'm JJ. It's my wife, Ashley. And it was a little over 6 years ago when I started a marketing business. I was doing websites and online advertising for some other local businesses. It kind of was getting in the way of my full-time corporate job. I had some friends who really believed in me, kind of gave me the push to, hey, go out on your own, which was scary. There's way too many variables that I'm a very big data person. So I was, how am I going to pay for this? Health insurance. It was, very scary. But we made the jump, and in order to do that, we reduced a ton of our expenses. We had 2 car payments. We sold those, got a couple lesser expensive cars. We had a beautiful home in a newer subdivision. We sold that, moved back to my hometown. So we dropped our expenses as much as we could to make sure, hey, we need to be able to afford this. Ashley stayed working full time, carried our insurance for a while. And it just, the marketing business grew and grew and grew. I think Ashley was maybe not jealous, but I was home a little more than she was. And then she was kind of working from home, and she's like, I need a side hustle or something. I want to do this too. And I knew she could do it. That's a big part of, I think, why we're a good couple and successful is we really believe in each other. We really communicate. We kind of decided on hats. Do you want to elaborate on that?
We went with like a winter hat to begin with. So we started Basic Bits in September of 2018, and we started with like a winter hat, for the upcoming season. And that went over very well, and we had an advantage because JJ was in marketing, which is you don't really think about that expense when you're starting a business. Like, how am I going to advertise? How am I going to get my name out there? And it's expensive, really expensive. And there's a lot to know, and it's ever so changing. So I do take that as like a one-up from some others that might be starting out that don't really realize that is a huge advantage to the business itself. So we started with the hats in the winter, and we actually had a trip coming up in like February, I think it was, that we were going to Cabo with some friends. And I have light hair, I have very thin hair, and I was looking for different options for while we were in Cabo because I tan very well, but my scalp fries. So I was looking at getting some different kind of headwear because I've tried sunscreen in my hair. It gets nasty trying to get it out, and it mats your hair down. So I was looking at different hats, and I had actually talked to a friend while we were there, and she had mentioned the ponytail hats, and I had never ever even heard of them before. So it's a baseball cap, but it has like an extra slit in the back, so you can wear a low pony or you can wear a high pony, like a messy bun. So when we got back, I started dabbling into, looking at that, because I was like, well, what are we going to do after the winter wear? Like, what's our next step? I was doing some t-shirts and stuff like that on the side as well, but what was going to be our seller for the summer? So we got the ponytail caps, and kind of like went with that for a bit. And then I was already doing the shirts and putting designs on shirts. So I was like, I wonder, can I put these on a hat? Like, why couldn't we? I mean, it's besides the awkward form of a hat, so I placed the hat on my knee and I used a handheld iron and put some glitter HTV at the time on there, and it worked. And we're like, okay, well, let's go with it. So we had a few different designs, or sayings made up, and launched it, and it went wild. And we weren't so worried about that summer anymore.
Yeah.
And it took off, and it was a new product that we could offer, and our customers loved it.
And just to give people kind of a timeline overview for you guys, I feel like so much has happened or grown in a short period of time. So in terms of really looking at the full calendar, when did you start your marketing agency?
That was 2018.
January 2018.
And
But
say
I
it
had been
again.
doing it January of 2018. I had been doing it on the side for a couple of years for a few friends of mine who own businesses. And also the corporate job I was at had 6 locations, and I was in charge of not only managing a retail store, but all 6 locations, advertising, website management, social media. So it was kind of something that I learned at my standard job and just kind of carried over and
Evolved.
Continue to grow. And then what year did Basic Bits start?
So it was in the fall of 2018. So August, September-ish, I think, is when we launched. Right. And I was at my corporate job full-time until November. It was just a couple months after Basic Bits launched, and it exploded. And I left my corporate job and started doing Basic Bits full-time. He had the marketing full-time. And then, let's see, we did Basic Bits, and Beknown started, was it 2?
Beknown's really only about 3 years
3
old,
years.
But back to like through 2019, it was just learning and doing some trial and error on different things with Basic Bits and the retail line. We ended up finding a supplier who would make our own brand overseas, and that really helped us grow. That was very scary, sending a lot of money wire transfer to someone you've never met that you can only speak to in the middle of the night.
And thousands of pieces. Like, you had to order thousands of hats at a time, assuming that the picture that you ordered is what you're going to get, which, as we found out, wasn't necessarily the case. We would get them in, and most of the time they were pretty accurate, but there were strings, and the quality wasn't there that was presented to us in the photos. I had actually looked at some of our competitors' reviews on websites and was kind of looking to see what was the customer complaining about, or what were they really liking about like ponytail hats at the time. And we were finding issues with Velcro coming undone, or strings or holes, or just the quality wasn't there. So that made me very I just was really worried about that, because I knew, like, being retail, I would not necessarily never meet the customer, but it was highly unlikely that I would ever meet that person. We've shipped to every state in the United States. So some people I know, some people I don't. So you make a first impression by them opening up that package. You open up the package, you go to put your hat on, and something's broke, or it doesn't feel, or you don't get what you pay for. And I feel like that sometimes would leave a bad taste in someone's mouth. And I wanted to make sure that we gave them the perfect product right off the bat. So myself and my mother-in-law, JJ's mom, actually stepped in and we did quality control from the new hats. Basically, we would look them over, make any adjustments that needed to be done, which I am not a sewer. I learned to sew, and we kind of went that method for a while, and it was something that we did hear kickback from customers on that our reviews were great from customers. Our return rates were
very low.
Very, very low. And I think that takes into account all the steps that we took, that we were proactive about, that put out a good product so that people could, word of mouth is huge. So if I get something in and I love it, I'm going to share it with my friends, and then they might be a customer too. But if it's a bad product, same thing. It's a trickling effect. It can make or break you. And social media is so huge. Just like we're on a podcast here today, you can say something good or bad, and it could hit one person. It could hit a million. It could hit even more than that. So,
well, and adding on to that, right? It could hit that one person that then takes that on like wildfire, and then that could expand. It doesn't have to be from just this conversation. It could be from this conversation with somebody hearing it or paying attention, or even tips or things that have been successful for you maybe haven't been successful for other people. And there could be a statement from them that's like, well, it didn't work for me. Well, this is what's worked very, very well for you. So, a lot of times it really is finding a niche or just how things can flow. And I think with the way that you have your marketing agency, you wanted your own. So Basic Bits came about, and then eventually Beknown just made perfect sense to kind of add into the mix. And now everything really complements each other. And how many people do you have working for you? So
yeah, just us. Yeah.
You have 3 businesses and two staff.
Yeah. And granted, we sub a few things out. There's some graphic work, some of in the marketing side. A lot of that can basically run itself once ads are set up, once websites are set up. So that's pretty low maintenance.
Sure.
The main part is Basic Bits and Beknown, and as they've both grown. That's kind of a goal for this upcoming year. We just moved into our commercial space earlier this year, so we're going to get some press operators and let us get back to doing some more door knocking, cold calling, being more of a face of the business, and continuing to grow that way.
So when it comes to the customer base, because I think this is, well, it is massive. So major kudos to you. You guys have created, what I think you said 100,000 customer base for Basic Bits, right? Or is it just all together?
On Basic Bits, yes. And what really exploded that was 2020 when the country shut down. People went outside and people started hiking and camping. And there's this whole new market of women who are going outside who needed hats, or they wanted to, kind of fit the hiking costume, those types of things.
Yeah, and we adjusted our design. So on the ponytail caps, we'd have different designs or sayings that you can have on there, and we adjusted that accordingly. So in 2020, like you said, the camping, the hiking, all that kind of took off. So we had like camp here, don't care. We did actually our number one seller that year was an I don't know, I don't care, I don't give a, but all like the initials, and that was the number one seller, which I guess we all felt the same way that year too. And we've really, like for myself, I've specifically switched a lot of the designs to reflect me, or like different things, you were saying the niches and whatnot, but it's really things that interest me as well as my customer base. It's been a few years now, so I can kind of see based on the things that we share and the things that we put out there that a lot of my customers are a lot like myself or have a lot of similar interests. So we have hiking, we have gardening, we have reading, we have the little snarky, funny,
I love it.
stuff, because that's what we need, like
Yeah.
if you can't say it out loud, I can say it on my hat and kind of deal there. So
Yeah.
I love it. But I mean, it makes you smile, right? It's something that you can connect with. And then clearly there are others. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the customer base that you had, along with the things that are extremely important to you, like quality, like making sure people are getting a great product. When you are talking about how you first started and you guys grew extremely fast with Basic Bits, what did those days look like as you were building this massive customer base?
well, initially
Chaos.
I started doing all the designs using a Cricut machine. So if anybody listening is familiar with a Cricut, the labor involved with weeding out all that extra vinyl that you're not going to use. And I didn't have great posture, and the hunchback of Notre Dame, like walking around, like it was 6 hours weeding on a countertop. We were saying like for 2 to 3 minutes per hat, basically from weed time to press to packaging, down to about 12 seconds a hat, because we transitioned from using a Cricut machine and vinyl to using stalls and
Ultracolor Max.
Ultracolor Max, and that's been a lifesaver on so many levels. So,
do you still utilize vinyl for some designs, or have you seen kind of a trend, like they just want the saying, they're not concerned about really kind of what the material is, they just want whatever you've come up with because it vibes with them?
Correct. Yeah. And being able to, some of our colors our prints are still single color, but a lot of them are now full color.
mm-hmm.
And we can use Ultracolor Max to do that. And if let's just try this sourdough design on a hat, we can order 25 of them and they're 30 cents a piece. We bring them in,
They work.
do the Photoshop, launch them on Shopify, throw an ad at it, and if it explodes, get a couple hundred coming. And it's just cutting them up
and applying them,
putting them on the hats.
You can't get the same quality, or I feel like the look, with an embroidery option. So that's like a big thing I think that I've heard from customers is, well, HTV isn't that cheap, or like they think of it like a different kind of way than what it really is. So a lot of times if I get that comment from customers, I say, look at your Under Armour, your Lululemon, your Adidas, look at what they're using. Are they using embroidery?
Yeah.
No, they're not. It's flat. It moves with you. It's not heavy. All the big brands are switching to the same method, and the quality is there, and you get crisp, clean lines. Like some of the full color ones, they look awesome. Like especially, on apparel, but on hats too. Like the pop on them, the white's nice, or like it pops out, but the color, that was huge. Like yeah. I really like that we were able to bring that in and have that as an option.
When you had the original transition of vinyl, say, to Ultracolor Max now, what all equipment did you have then that you started with, and what equipment do you have now that has really just helped increase efficiency, make your business more robust in terms of applications and decoration methods that you can provide to your customers?
We started on basically an entry-level hat press, because that was an upgrade from the iron on Ashley's knee. And
I can only picture how this was happening.
I used a towel, so I didn't like burn my knee or anything like that. But it didn't hold the hat real snug. It wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, do you have any footage of this?
I think I do. I think it comes up in my Snapchat or Facebook memories like once a year, and it's just like, oh my God, it started from the bottom. Now we here.
I was gonna say, that's a perfect how it started. This is where we're at now, kind of transition. But keep going. What equipment did we start with? Where are we at?
It was just an entry-level press that I think I purchased on eBay just to see if this was even doable. And it wasn't long after we had found the stalls transfers, the stalls groups, and the 360 IQ had, I think, just kind of come out. Mm-hmm. We've always kind of been big on quality for the things we sell. Based on what I could find, this new hat press was top of the line. So we started with one 360 IQ, brought that in, total game changer. The lower platen, we didn't need the heat at the time for the lower platen, but just the shape of it and the ease of doing the hats, the auto open, really evolved the production side of it.
But it was night and day from that one press to the next, because the first press, it left such a hard line on the hats, and the IQ, it actually had like a smoother edge to it. So that was right off the bat, that was something we noticed.
So then we added another one. So then we had 2 IQs going, and Ashley realized that she can run both of them at the same time. So any morning, any day, you'll find her back and forth. She's got them set up on top of a toolbox with a nice counter, and she can run 2 of them and do 100 hats an hour, no problem.
100 hats an hour. That's what's crazy. If you think about the output that you're able to do, tied along with profit, and then the fact that it's just you guys, right? Like it's not like you have a team of 10 in order to get that type of high quantity. I mean, I'm sure you can do 800, maybe 1,000, depending on, what you're really trying to do or accomplish within a day. If you decide to eat or take little breaks, but I think that's crazy that you guys can, crazy good that you can produce that type of quantity. You have talked a lot about quality, and I think that is huge, especially when it comes to a brand or a business that really wants to provide quality. Have you found that in order for your hats to remain a certain cost or for you to make a certain amount of money, that quality cuts into your overall revenue? Or do you find, people are going to pay for the quality, so it doesn't really matter. They just want a good product.
I'm with you on the second part there. There's several places. We're fairly rural here, but there's several other places around us that are doing custom hats, custom apparel. But they're trying to be the cheapest. They're trying to, and I don't want to throw brands under here, but a Gildan heavy cotton t-shirt.
Sure.
Not everyone likes to wear that. It doesn't fit well. It's heavy. It shrinks. And there's a whole other category of people who would prefer a better brand, Next Level, a District. They like the tri-blends. They're more comfortable. They're breathable. And those people will pay whatever to be comfortable.
Yep.
It's not always about the price. And pair the quality with the convenience side of it, going above and beyond on customer service, delivering quickly. It isn't, even on our B2B orders, there isn't many even 400 or 500 piece orders that they do not have them in their hands within a week. And it's just us producing here. And granted, we have a good system and we've played trial and error, but there's definitely a market for the higher quality stuff, and especially in hats. I was kind of very picky on hats myself before getting into this business. And if I got a free hat when I bought a vehicle or something like that, I never wore it. It went in the closet. It was, scrunched down, or it might have had a Velcro back. I wanted a snapback. I wanted a flex band in with the snapback. And it speaks to it for itself when the customer or the end user gets the product. They don't feel bad about, even if they get it for little or nothing. If it's in our B2B side where they're giving it away, that represents their brand as well. If Joe's Plumbing gives out a shirt that has his logo on it that the end user will only wear mowing their grass or painting their house, going to rip the sleeves off it, it's not doing its purpose. Where if they get a District DM130 tri-blend and it's got Joe's Plumbing logo on it, and they put it on and it's comfortable and it fits them well, and they wash it a couple times, it doesn't shrink, it could be their new favorite shirt. They're going to wear it. They're going to wear it out. It's going to do what it's supposed to do and promote that client's original business.
I think it goes all the way around. Like you get what you pay for, and that goes for quality, but that also goes for service. I know specifically with the Beknown side of it, we hear it time and time and time again, like quality over quantity, or, you sit here and you might want to buy a cheaper shirt, or you might try and skip a few things here and there to get a cheaper product, but somewhere along the way, I feel like it always snags somewhere. Either the shirt, it's a shirt you wear mowing or cutting wood or whatever. It's your junk shirt or your junk piece of clothing versus, we've done some apparel for some, I think, firemen up here, and that was like, we saw one of the guys out and he's like, yeah, it's my new favorite shirt. And it was like one that he got from like the firehouse. Like it wasn't even one, it was a giveaway, but it
threw them out in a parade.
Yeah,
or something.
But it's like their new favorite shirt, so you get the quality aspect of, the apparel, but then we are delivering it. We're human beings, you're not just talking to a computer or nobody out at all. That makes a difference when we're showing up, or now we have our location here. You can meet with us here. That makes, you get what you pay for, kind of deal.
Definitely.
But I think you guys have said so many little like golden nuggets on information from marketing, really understanding what you are doing when it comes to decorated garments. What's the goal? You mentioned the goal for you guys as a business is to make sure that people are wanting to wear the items that have other people's businesses on it, right? So several things that you mentioned were really the idea of giveaway items. If we're giving this away, we still want people to want to wear it. We don't want them to cut the sleeves off and then go mow. And that's not, the shirt's being worn, right? But that's not being exposed around people. You're not showing, a potential business that could help grow. And when you choose the right products, when you really understand what you want the people to do with this product, which is wear it, you dive a little bit deeper into understanding the quality. You dive deeper into knowing that the ROI is going to be greater simply because more people are going to wear a promotional product. And you can call it promotional product and say decorated t-shirt, you can say custom t-shirt, but at the end of the day, it is a walking billboard and you want people to know what to do. How is that maybe more from the marketing side where you understand that, or is that really just the experience that it's a learn? You've learned it from everything you guys have been through the last 6-7 years, developing new businesses, talking to people, being in the front of your business. You're not behind the scenes. You are definitely in the front, on the level, down the floor. You're everywhere, right? You are doing anything and everything. So do you think that is something that you are more of an expert in marketing and you've been able to apply that into your decoration businesses? Or do you think that's really just trial and error? You figured it out along the way?
I don't know that the quality side is trial and error, because it's not like we put out a lower quality product initially. We've always tried to have the best quality and made sure of that. I believe the marketing background helps, but sure. I think most of it was kind of our personal preference to begin with, and just noticing those types of things, and not necessarily just apparel and hats, but in other parts of our lives that we just learned. You buy the cheap thing or the
Yeah.
It just,
I was going to say that you get what you pay for. We're getting older, and what I would buy in my 20s versus what I'm buying in my 30s is way different. Not only that income might be different, but like I've learned, like if I cheap out, like it's going to bite me, So like I research a lot. I feel like 2020 showed us a lot of like online ordering and what to expect, and because we didn't have a choice, so I feel like you kind of get what you pay for, but yet you still need to, I don't know,
be conscious of
be
it.
conscious of what you're ordering. And I think online ordering sometimes gets a bad taste in people's mouths because they don't know what they're ordering.
Sure.
And we've spent a lot of time phrasing it on our websites, or even on social media, on how to do things or what to look for. And like if we would come out with like a base, like the Gildan style that you're talking about that is not comfortable to wear, I don't want to even put that out there because I don't want them to have that option to have like that failure. You know what I mean? Like to not have a shirt that they want to wear, like that's in the bottom of my drawer that it never comes out. I want them to want to wear that. Same with the hats or anything like that. You want them to want to wear it, to be their new favorite article of clothing, because they're going to talk to somebody else about that. And that might be additional business, or if you just cheap out, well, they really wanted this cheap, not so great piece of apparel. They're not going to tell their friends about it, which means that you could be losing potential customers down the way because it never actually got out there.
Right.
Sure. How does everything kind of flow for you guys? You've got businesses that complement each other. You've got businesses that provide different products in a way for, a variety of customers. So does Beknown ever decorate for Basic Bits? Is Basic Bits doing its own decoration? Your marketing agency, are they, utilizing both companies? How does that kind of fit in the ecosystem?
So Beknown, our B2B side, actually evolved from a longtime customer of the marketing agency. His wife liked wearing Basic Bits hats, and he said, "Can you put my logo for my business?" He was a timber buyer, tree trimmer, and I was like, "Well, maybe. Kind of, yeah. Why can't we?" And that's what launched Beknown. We did that for him, and
I think that was the start of the leather patches.
that
too.
was the start of the leather patch hats. But yeah, they definitely complement each other, and Ashley does 99.9% of the hats. So if we have a B2B order on hats, I'll get all the product in, get the material ready. It goes into her space, and we communicate very well. We keep a lot of very good records. All the invoices will show, X amount of caps getting patch or full color print if it's centered or offset. And then she'll have kind of an in queue what needs to be done and when, and goes to town on it. So, but then there's a little bit that trickles from her side into Beknown's as well.
Because I mean, with Basic Bits, do you have customers that are reaching out like, "Hey, I love this hat. Do you do any, custom tees?" Or I want to give you my business, not, a company that I don't know, or loyal customers. How does that translate with Basic Bits? Does that then go to Beknown, or is Basic Bits filling that in?
So we used to do a lot more custom orders with Basic Bits, one-offs kind of deal, but since we've grown, we don't do the one-offs anymore. We have minimums as well, but we do like send it technically over to Beknown. We have a link on the website, or I forward them that information in order to do that. But yeah, we kind of got away from the one-offs and we go with the minimums just because we do it a little bit differently now. And do a one-off, I don't want to say it's not worth it, but you have nobody understands the amount of time that is involved with, well, it's just a quick design. Well, it is, but then you have 5 million fonts to choose from, and I mean, it's not like just quick. So from growing, we had to switch it to minimum orders in order to do a custom hat. If like the design that they want is not on the website, we can definitely do that, but we're going to start with the minimum order, and
she sends it over to me, Beknown, and then I handle it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about writing a book? There's just a lot of great tips. And I'm sure a lot of people, because of the experiences that you guys have gone through, you've had to find those solutions along the way. How can we utilize this? How can we make this work? We've got to be efficient. You want to keep everything lean, but I think the system that you have is a great way of utilizing everything versus trying to make one company do everything. You can really kind of focus on what you need to with the three without, it's still a one-stop shop, right? You're the owners of all three. What is one thing that if somebody was starting in this business that you wish you would have known when you first started in whatever area?
I have a couple things. And as far as equipment, invest in the absolute best on the market. What we found is that's always been Hotronix products. Whether you have to finance it or find a way or save a little longer, buying the entry level stuff, it's downtime. There's no support. You end up getting mad and you're not using your full potential because your equipment is bringing you down or letting you down. So not only the high quality equipment, the support behind it and being able to pick up the phone. And Andrew Carr's our rep from Stalls, and we bought the dual air fusion first part of the year, and he calls to, hey, how's that working out for you? It's great. Like, my back is better, my neck is better. We're doing, the production's insane, and it's a whole other level of service from Stalls. So definitely investing in the best equipment. Someone who is just starting on the apparel side, if they wanted to get in the B2B side, try to get an education on graphics somehow. The amount of business owners and events, clubs that don't have a good quality format of their logo or graphic blows my mind. Like, the amount of times that we say, send me your logo, and we get a picture of the side of their truck or something. Screenshots.
Oh my gosh.
And even though with the marketing background and having that side of experience, it's a whole nother realm. Because if we're doing a Facebook ad, I only need the quality to be as big as what displays on your phone or computer. Now we need SVG graphics and EPS formats. And I didn't know a ton of that. So I wish I would have, when I had more free time, spent a little more time learning that rather than trying to evolve or outsourcing it as we kind of grew. So
those are both great tips. Andrew Carr was actually like, hey, I heard they're going to be on the podcast. I was like, they are. So I'm sure he's watching now. And if he's not, then I know he'll definitely catch the replay shortly after. But I know he was really excited for you guys to kind of share your story. In terms of those that are listening to kind of follow along in your journey, just see what you're doing, how you're doing it, or reach out with any questions, maybe any consulting. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? I know because you have multiple different businesses, share what you want to share, because I know that each one provides its own thing, but then at the end of the day, they kind of all tie together.
Facebook's kind of our most active channel right now, especially for Basic Bits. She's got 30-some thousand followers on there.
Wow.
And that's just Basic Bits, 2 separate words. You can find her on there. And Instagram, I think they link up now.
Bits, yeah, they link up. Website yourbasicbits.com or bb-hats.com for me. And there's contact me information on there, which would send an email. Probably be the best.
Yeah. And then Beknown is just Beknown on Facebook. And our website is beknown.shop. My phone number, email, everything's on there as well. I try to provide a ton of value in the Heat Press for Profit group and a few other groups that we're in because we got a ton out of it when we were starting. Skip has been a huge help. I've been on the phone with him for hours just learning different things. And even it was like a Saturday morning one day when he started layering the flock in the UCM, and I was having a hell of a time. And he just called me up. Like, I mean, this guy's just a stranger that we kind of met in a group, and that group has just been huge for us. So I'm trying to give back there as well. And we'll be glad to answer anyone's questions or give any insight I can.
So for those of you that are a little curious into what he's talking about, it's called the Heat Press for Profit group on Facebook. And it is a heat printing community that is sponsored by Stalls. And I say sponsored because we set the group up, but at the end of the day, this is really business to business conversations. People that are in there are asking questions. And it's really cool because you get to see a variety of different responses at times. So what may work, like we said earlier, what may work for one business may not work for another. So there's a lot of people that will actually come and answer questions and provide feedback, whether it is good or bad. Either way, it's just going to, really help round out your business. And they are pretty active in that group, so they will respond. They will respond. It's not one of those things where a question will come up and then, nobody ever sees it. But again, it's Heat Press for Profit group on Facebook if anybody wants to join that's not currently in there. Okay, last thing. If there is one thing that you could tell people to start doing right now for their business, what would it be?
Was this a surprise question? Was this on our list today?
Yeah, one thing.
One thing?
It could be a series of things, but it doesn't have to be long.
I dwelled on one thing I would maybe like to suggest people to realize as you're kind of growing your business, and especially if you get into the B2B side, some of your customers might become your friends faster than your friends become customers. And that's okay. I was kind of shocked as things evolved, the people who you maybe thought would root for you or buy from you may try to take advantage of what you're doing. And that was very interesting. So I wish I would have realized that a little sooner and not been down about it several times. Like, why don't this person share our stuff? Why, they kind of root for you in the background maybe, but that's a big thing to me.
Another thing is that I've seen is somebody that I don't know at all is probably my biggest fan compared to somebody that I know personally that doesn't support, or not that they don't support, but the complete stranger across the country is going to root and cheer for you and be there to support you and back you, where your friend down the road may or may not. And you can't really take offense to that, but every customer means something somewhere along the way, whether they're going to be a referral or just be there to pump you up when someone else might be trying to bring you down. Like, customers will chime in on posts and have your back, or say different things to, like we get tagged in things. Can I get a shirt made, or anybody know where we can get this? And they tag our businesses. That's a huge compliment. Yeah. Like, the biggest compliment. Word of mouth is the biggest compliment. So I feel like
so realizing that and being active on social media, I think is my biggest suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys are extremely personable, so I can only imagine the people that don't support you. I mean, Like, come
Well,
on.
not that there's like,
Customers.
I think as you kind of grow, there's not haters, but
For sure.
people who are like, what are these guys doing? They're starting another business. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
we can do it. We can handle it. We still hike 500 miles a year with our Chihuahuas in the Wisconsin woods. Like it's not like we're 150 hours a week doing this.
Right.
So.
But it speaks volume to the support that you have from a community that you have built. And it really does say a lot about how much you truly value your customers and how much you want to take care of them. And it's not just about an order, right? It's really about providing much more to that. And I think, like I said, it does speak volumes to your character. And if, of course, those that are wanting to help support and just compliment you along the way. Thank you guys so much for taking your time today. I know time is valuable and very precious, especially when you've got multiple things to do on your list. But I cannot wait to hopefully have you guys on this podcast again, because there's been so many wonderful things that you've talked about that I think we could dive just a little bit more in. I know I have more questions on marketing and really just kind of building a brand on quality, but for the viewers and the listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, you guys know you can pop them down below. But JJ and Ashley, I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for being our guest on the Heat Press for Profit podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.